I've always been into arts and crafts and building, making, creating. It was barely functional, but it did work. And I've always been creative, and I wanted to make something that I could use, something that was functional, and that's really what it needed, was functionality.
Hey everybody, Steve here with HolsterSmith.com. Today I have Richard Shepard of North Georgia Holster Company with us. His website, if you want to check it out, is ng-hc.com. Richard is the winner of the Holster Maker of the Year. That was decided by his peers all over the world. You guys all sent in your entries, and ultimately at the end of the day, all the votes came in, and Richard was deemed this year's champion. Congratulations, Richard.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
By saying that. So, one thing that we like to do is find out where guys started, what got them into holster making, things like that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, first of all, what even made you decide to make your very first holster?
Oh yeah, it was a necessity. I had purchased a holster and it wasn't up to the quality I thought it should have been. It wasn't comfortable. To be honest, it was barely functional, but it did work. And I've always been creative, and I wanted to make something that I could use, something that was functional, and that's really what it needed, was functionality. So.
I got you. Now, one thing I noticed about your holsters, though, at least the ones that we saw in the contest, is they're not just functional, they're art, right? I come from a knife side first, right? I'm a gun guy, but I came from the knife side, and so you have your everyday beater knives, and then you have art knives that people would never cut a piece of paper with, right? Like that in between. It's like, yeah, it's an everyday workhorse, but man, it looks like it should be in a display case somewhere. So did you do something prior to holster making that was artistic, or was it something that you developed when you started making holsters?
No, I've always been into arts and crafts and building, making, creating. My mom's an artist, she's a photographer. It's just ingrained in me from early. I started off doing body work and painting cars, and there's like an inherent quality that needs to be there regardless of what you're doing. It's used every day, but it still has to be, beautiful. It doesn't need to be, there's beater cars, I guess, but that's not something you want to drive every day. It needs to be functional and good looking. So.
Exactly. So how long ago did you start making holsters?
I want to say about 3.5 to 4 years ago, something like that.
So not long at all.
No, it's not been too long. It's not been too long.
That is. So from 3.5 years ago, and as I understand, you'd never made one before.
No, never made a holster.
So you started 3.5, 4 years ago, and now here you are, Holster Maker of the Year. And I keep reiterating the Holster Maker of the Year because this is not, when Richard gets to say I'm Holster Maker of the Year, it's not a, hey, yeah, this company said that I'm the Holster Maker of the Year. Again, this is his peers. This is tons of people that make holsters are the ones that voted and said Richard won. So, and really, our Holster Maker of the Year is kind of a champion of champions, because we have the monthly contest, and you have to qualify in the monthly contest to even get to this one. So you've got to be, really the cream of the crop. This is literally the Super Bowl of holster making, right? So you made your first holster because you just didn't like what you saw out there that you could find. And now all of a sudden you're making money doing this. So obviously you did it because it was fun, I guess, after you made your first few. But explain to us how you went from making that first holster to kind of feeling your way through it and making it better and better, and then get to where you even started selling.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine. He was a Marine. He had a daily carry weapon. He had an Uncle Mike's holster. And he wasn't super happy with it. It was functional. It did what it was supposed to. He didn't 100% like it. And he saw mine and he's like, I need you to make me one. He's like, I've never had a polymer or rigid style holster ever. And he pushed and pushed and pushed, and I told him no a couple of times. And then finally I made him one, and he was just ecstatic, over the moon with it. And I was like, I think I can do this. I think I can, actually make other people holsters, and that's where it started.
Cool. And how long ago would you say that was when you actually started, when it kind of, I guess, migrated from this is a hobby, I'm making them for myself, to, hey, I can make a couple of dollars doing it?
It was still a hobby at that point, and then he showed some friends, and just through word of mouth in a very short period of time, a lot of people started coming to me. And that's when I decided I was like, I might be able to do something else with it. I might be able to make a career out of it, or actually make them for a living at some point.
Okay, cool. Now, what, as far as holsters, obviously there's inside the waistband, outside the waistband. There's taco, there's pancake. Do you have a particular style of holster that you feel like you really specialize in, that this is the kind that I love to make?
Yes, as far as taco versus pancake, I make tacos. I don't really do pancakes that much. That's just feedback. For me, it comes from a real estate perspective. There's not a lot of room there to begin with a lot of times. I just want as little as possible. Not saying that pancakes don't have their place. I mean, there's obviously going to be a little bit more structural integrity, or as far as weight dispersion with a pancake, so it's not all centered in one spot. But if you're wearing a proper belt, it's not really going to matter either way. So tacos for me, mostly.
Got it. So do you generally do more inside the waistband then, or do you even do a lot of outside the waistband?
I started off doing a lot of outside the waistband because the friends that I knew, I'm into guns, but that doesn't necessarily mean all my friends are, but they do have firearms, and they don't really get into as much as some people do. So I'm an in the waistband guy personally,
Right.
But I started off doing more outside the waistband because that's what people wanted. They couldn't really, some people can't conceivably see putting a pistol between their body and their pants, so it's kind of hard to convince them to do so. But now it's getting more towards inside the waistband because it's a lot more people that can access you online are going to be looking for that. They're looking for a holster. It's probably going to be inside the waistband, 7 times out of 10.
So how do you decide? We've seen some of your work, and folks will show some of that work at the end of the video. But you kind of run the gambit with your, design part, not the function of the holster, but the beauty of it, right? The art part. Do you generally lean towards one style, or do you like to try and make everything a little bit different so each holster is really unique?
Yes, for my custom work, I want to make each piece, obviously there are going to be some similarities, they're all gun holsters, but I want them to all be unique in their own way. As far as, I didn't want to submit something for every, like in this case, for every competition here, I wanted every entry to be different. I didn't want it to be even remotely the same. And so I kind of freehand most of it as I go, as far as the custom work. Obviously the molding process, as far as consistency there, that's all going to be the same. But when it comes to cutting and choosing colors and stuff like that, it's kind of on the fly. I want it to be as natural as it could seem, without really seeming too staged. It seems weird to me.
I gotcha. So do you allow the customer then, I know this website's going to be up, when they go to the website, are they going to be able to, see a choice of colors and they can pick their colors, or how does that work on your end for your customers?
At the moment, as far as my capacity goes, it's going to be mostly black and black carbon fiber is what I'm offering currently. There will be color options later on. I've tried to add some color in, as far as, even though I'm only offering black holsters currently, you can pick the finish washer color, and that kind of gets a little bit of flair for people. And as far as the wallets that I'll be offering, the money bands will be a little color flare, and also the logo that's going to be on the holster, they can choose their color there.
Oh, okay.
So if they want like subdued black, not a giant billboard for the branding, I understand that. They can go with a flat black on the holster where it's just barely visible, or they can go as bright as yellow or red or orange.
Okay. And are there any particular guns that you focus on, or will you pretty much make a custom gun for any gun, or are there limitations?
There are limitations currently. I'm focusing mostly on Glock models. They're the most common.
Right.
So the Glock 19 and all of its similar models, so 19, 23, 31, as well as the 17 and all the similar models, and the 43 are the only ones that I'm currently offering. The next two coming in would be the Glock 42 and the Shield 9 and 40. And I'm going to keep going as far as I can, as far as demand pushes it.
So, I mean, that is just absolutely incredible. Again, 3.5, 4 years from making the first holster to now selling them. Did you ever even think prior to that that
No.
you might want to make a holster, or?
Not once. Not once. Things started going a little weird in the country. I've always been a gun guy per se. My father's always owned guns, but they're more collector type things. And I started carrying a gun avidly and just kind of seeing what was going on. And for protection, obviously to extend my Second Amendment right. And that's when it became a thing. I'm like, oh, I'd never thought about it before. I need something to carry it in. And I bought a couple, and they just didn't work out. Then I had one custom made. I had a SIG 320 with a light on it, and no holster that I could find locally. I didn't know this was a growing thing. Then it wasn't as big, so found a guy in a local gun shop, and he made custom holsters, and he made one, but it was just, I'm not going to mention any names or anything, but it just wasn't functional like I thought it should have been, and
Right.
that's where the quest kind of started there.
So you're always aiming to even improve what you do.
Yes, absolutely. Nothing's perfect, and even the first one I made, I thought it was flawless then, and now I think it is terrible. So, if functional, yes, but that's not where it is. It shouldn't end there.
Yeah, well, that is absolutely awesome. Folks, I want to thank you for joining us. And again, I want to congratulate Richard. Website again, ng-hc.com, North Georgia Holster Company. Thanks for dropping by.